Hi there, and welcome to Gran Turismo Live and to this Top 24 Superstars Manufacturers Series race in the Americas region. We're into the home straight now. It is round 8 of 10 in Season 3, and it is crunch time for a lot of these guys. It's also crunch time for us. I'm James Kirk, and I am #blessed to be joined by the one and only Mr. Jimmy Broadbent. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm blessed now, apparently. Good to be here, James.
Now, let's get things off, shall we? Let's take a look at why we are here in the first place.
So, we are broadcasting today both championships in the new FIA certified Gran Turismo Championship, as you can see on your screen, both the Nations Cup and the Manufacturer Series. So we're coming now to the end of the 2018 championships, as James just said. This is round 8 of 10 of the Americas Manufacturers Series, and Saturday the 8th of September will be our final round. And from there, the finalists will be chosen to represent their manufacturers at the World Finals in November.
The players taking part in the Manufacturer Series have signed up with one of 25 manufacturers available in Gran Turismo Sport. At the end of round 10, the top driver from each of these 3 regions, representing the top 16 manufacturers, will be invited to the World Finals, making 48 competitors in total. Let's take a little look at the top 24 after round 7 of Season 3. These are the people in line to make it to the Americas Regional Finals in October. Starting off there, in the BMW, it's Nico R, who's been having a great time this evening, certainly. No spoilers. He's beating out another one of the highlights from this season, Racing 17 in the Nissan. We have 2 Citroens, Lloydsley in 3rd, Hellsfire in 5th. They are sandwiching Defsun 96 in the Ferrari there, Gumball CGT in the Mercedes, and the top 8 is rounded out by 2 Dodges, Turismo Leicester and McQueen 91. We then have a further myriad of manufacturers here. Racing King in the Porsche. We've got a Nissan there with Doodle. We've got another Porsche with Solid. Hyundai represented by Windfire. The Lone Alpha, of course. Dodge Lam. Lexus represented by Fives Egan. The Chevrolet taken up by Anton, and Mazda in there as well with Cristiano Saar. And rounding out our top 24, we have yet more manufacturers to go over. Jaguar Outlaw Quadrant, Renault Sport in there with Faku Dudu, Honda with Die Godlike, Mitsubishi with Z28, the Aston Martin represented by Hendricks. Our top 24 is currently rounding out by Sicarus.
So, today, you may recognise the circuit. This is the legendary Monza in Italy. One of the tracks that I think that all racing fans should know. It might look simple in layout, but that does not mean it is simple to drive. You go down the front straight, reaching speeds in the Group 3 cars of 260, 270 kilometers an hour before braking heavily for T1 for the first chicane. Then it's through Curva Grande, flat out through there, but to another chicane. Second chicane, 4th and T4 and 5 on your track map there. Very tricky to get that right. Very easy to pick up a penalty if you are not careful. Then the 2 Lesmos, T6 and T7. Cambered corners that allow a good run through if the car is set up nicely, and then underneath the bridge, underneath the old circuit to Ascari, nice and easy through there. Very easy to pick up penalty on exit, as we were told earlier. And then T11 Parabolica, get that right, and you're looking good for a fast lap. So, aside from that, the settings we're going to have, or we're going to be racing, I should say, sorry, we're going to be racing the Group 3 cars, the GT3 base machines. It's a 15-minute qualifying, followed by a 14-lap race, fuel set at ×5 and tyre wear at ×9. So based on that, we're looking probably at a 1-stop race. You can see on our diagram here. Expecting pit stops between lap 6 and lap 8. Of course, being able to slipstream someone and short shifting will be a good way to elongate your first stint. And the later you pit, the less fuel you have to put in, which will make your pit stop all the shorter. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of use of slipstream here in today's race.
Now, it's been a long night for us. We've witnessed the EMEA region race. We've also just witnessed the Nations Cup race for the Americas region. And there's a question on the lips of a couple of people, Jimmy, in your experience in watching these races, do you think there's any particular trends which differentiate the two regions that we've watched tonight, or do you actually think that it's quite similar and we should be expecting a very similar type of race that we saw earlier in Monza with that EMEA region?
I'd say all the driving has been similar, but I'll also add to that by saying that if you put 24 different people and give them a solution, the solution is to get to the end of this race as quick as possible, then you're going to end up having something different happen. Now, we saw in the first race, and we won't spoil it again, but T1 was something. Yeah. So it was a little bit tricky. However, of course, we saw in the Nations race as well, a little bit messy. So maybe we'll see something similar here today. But, of course, we don't wish that. We wish to see everyone get through cleanly.
Of course, yeah.
But I don't think it's affected by. I think drivers are, they have the same mentality. They all want to get to the ending first. So
yeah, of course,
it's just how you do it.
Well, yeah, and as we wait for qualifying, let's talk about the difference between Monza and how the race is set up to last time out, which featured the Group 4 cars. Group 4 featuring front-wheel drives, also featuring a rolling start. We saw tyre wear be a big problem there, and there's a reason why we've got such a high tyre wear rate around Monza. We want to make it interesting on that front. The Group 3 cars, they won't have that front-wheel drive issue, but they do have a difference of a start, or a standing start, I should say, and we've been listening to the drivers, trying to figure out which manufacturers are best. The Nissan, though it's got the characteristics to be great once it's going, getting going has been a real issue, actually, that we've seen. Yeah,
we've had that fed back to us as well from people on the forums, etc., saying that Nissan very fast in a straight line. As it has been, it was fast at Le Mans as well, of course, which is very much a straight line circuit. And here as well, but you can qualify well, but you might end up going backwards if you can't quite get things right off the line. So definitely one to keep an eye on.
And it is now time, I feel, to move our eyes over to in-game. It's time to travel to the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nacional Monza, as the manufacturers wage all-out war in an attempt to come out on top. And so here we are then. 15 minutes on the clock, Jimmy. Once those 15 minutes are out, there is no finishing your last lap. There is just a hard cut. You need to get your lap in as early as possible. You need to time yourself as best as possible. And for these drivers, well, the question is simple. Who will be the fastest at one of the fastest racing circuits in the world?
We'll have to wait and see is the answer to that. Of course, if it dictates them early, we had an all manner of cars that we didn't really expect be quick in the European, Middle East and Africa region. Will we see the same here today? We're on board now of FTN in his Corvette, a car that seems to be fairly strong around here. Just seems that the American muscle does a good job here at Monza. Speaking of Monza, here is the 458, the virtual Tifosi. I'm sure he'll be very happy to see that thing go around as it's then mugged by a Corvette on the outside. Now, something we mentioned before, and we'll mention again, that qualifying round here, it's very important to try and find a free space, free bit of track, but also, if that free bit of track actually has a car just at the end pulling you along, all the better.
Absolutely, and we'll reiterate, we do have cars which have been highlighted by the community that should be strong around here. The Nissan, the Ferrari, and the Jaguar. Not to spoil anything too much for you guys in terms of names, but we saw 7 different manufacturers in the top 7 in the EMEA qualifying session.
It wasn't in that order.
And it wasn't in that order, certainly. So take it with a pinch of salt. The Nissan, the Ferrari and the Jaguar, they are certainly good around this circuit. That cannot be denied. But I feel like whatever the tyre wear is doing, whatever the fuel amounts are doing, it's created an equalising effect. And we've certainly got a number of very interesting manufacturers in there as well. We've got Fords, we've got McLarens, Citroens, the Alfa Romeo, there's a sole one in there. So we've got some different manufacturers as well, which we didn't see in the EMEA race. It's going to be fascinating to figure out where they end up in the order, Jimmy.
Yeah, we've not seen an Alpha yet. I'm very curious to see how that runs. Now, unfortunately for the Citroen drivers, they didn't have too hot of a race in the European sector. But that might just be down to drivers, we don't know. The drivers, now some of them coming onto their first flying lap. Of course, the full out lap needs to be completed here before we can go around and take the flyer. And getting good traction out of the first chicane is very important, because any time you lose on the exit there, you lose it all the way through Curva Grande and all the way into the braking for the second chicane. Turismo Leicester is currently our driver furthest up on track, so he'll be setting the first lap time, although Hendricks 3.23 in the V12 Vantage, and again I swirl with British pride here.
Can we just listen to that for a moment? Can we go on board again just for a little bit?
Not bad, is it?
Oh, goodness me. I love that sound. I can be as patriotic as I want all day for that one.
As we go get a cold shower for James next to me here, we'll come back to the footage slightly. And unfortunately, the V12 Vantage has been maybe ruined a tad by the ostentatious paint scheme there of Hendricks. But what else would you expect there?
It's bold.
Bold, yeah, okay. there's no accounting for taste, as they say. Anyway, back to the broadcast. Turismo Leicester will be coming around Parabolica to set his first flying lap. What sort of time will we see here, I wonder? We have Hendricks in the background. He'll be getting a little bit of tow in that Aston. FT Ant as well there in the mix. So Turismo Leicester comes across the line now. 1:49.2, not the fastest time we've seen so far. 1:50.3 from Hendricks. 1:49.3 from FT Ant. Time's coming thick and fast now. Here's the Beers. Mr. Stinky Bug. Gumball comes in with a 49.0 in the A&D. Another car we've seen be fairly quick around here at Monza. We have TGT Cristiano move up to 8th and then promptly move down by Godlike. Time's coming very quickly right now. We'll make sense of it once they've all settled down a little bit. Haven't seen a Mustang here. The Mustang, compared to the other cars on track, seems like a bit of a brick, James. A brick with a spoiler on it. And unsurprisingly, a Mustang with a Star-Spangled Banner on it. That seems incredibly appropriate.
Everything comes together, Jimmy. It's the Mustang, it's the patriotic Star-Spangled livery, and it's Mr. Stinky Bug.
Yeah.
Like, it's the perfect storm, in my opinion. To be fair, regardless of how much we can poke fun at his name, he's in P3, which is very fair and well. 1:48 will pretty much guarantee you a top 10 around this circuit. We're already 5 minutes in, though. Time evaporating quickly.
We'd like to see one more flying lap out of these guys, and they'll pit in. Here is Outlaw, interestingly, in the very, very chrome green Outlaw quadrant there.
Love that.
Liveried Jaguar. Again, another car that should be strong around here. That's what we've heard. The Jag should be strong. He's got a free track in front of him, so he's actually up in his first sector right now. He's actually up on the leader through there by a tenth, and then gets a little bit too enthusiastic in the chicane and throws it away. Let's talk about penalties, shall we?
We really should, shouldn't we?
To say we saw a few penalties in the European, Middle East and African region would be a bit of an understatement.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Saying that, though, will give us a nice thing to talk about. And then we see our first 48, and it comes from a Corvette, of all things. FT Ant comes across the line. Another Corvette, another American livery.
They're coming in force, isn't it? They're coming in force, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, this guy is...
That is as South London as I will ever reach in my life. But we should actually highlight danger zones for those penalties. You just saw it there at the Della Rosier chicane, the exit of Ascari, Jimmy. That was claiming victims left, right, and centre. So much so that there were people complaining, oh, why can't we go wide? But it's the job of the drivers to ensure that they stick within the track limits set.
Yep.
And I certainly hope for these Americas guys that they heed the warnings well, because there was so many 2-second, 3-second penalties being picked up there.
Yeah, the fact is that you are given a set of white lines.
Yeah.
Stay within these. Don't do that, you risk a penalty. Interesting thing we're getting now is that Ant did have a slipstream on the Hendricks there, and now he's pulling past, but did that affect his time? This might have actually benefited him. Let's see if we can get a split time now coming up to Ascari. be having the brakes here. He's actually down by 3 tenths, so passing Hendricks slowed him up a little bit, so this won't be a quicker lap by Ant unless he has a fantastic last sector, which is quite difficult to do here because it's a straight line in the Parabolica, of course, only really one corner in it. But this will be where we see some of the faster times come. We'll see some people pit in now, come in for a new set of tyres, some more fuel, and go out and try it one more time. Some people have done that already, actually, so again, to note that when we do get to the 0 on the timing, then that is it. Qualifying's done, no finishing in lap. Turismo Leicester comes across the line, does not improve, but it does do a 40, sorry, he does improve, sorry, he actually does a 48.9, but it's not enough to move him into pole position for now.
The Americas are trying to beat that stat from earlier. Currently, as things stand at the halfway mark of qualifying, 9 different manufacturers in the top 10.
Great to see the Mustang in there, and also the M6. We've not seen much representation for BMW over the course of the manufacturer series.
Our points leader, of course.
Yes, of course. Nico are there. Great to see him doing so well. Lloyd's Delight, who had a great race in the Nations as well, moving up to 6th position in the Citroen. Again, you've got to give props. The Citroen doesn't seem to be the fastest car around here, but Lloyd's Delight and Hellfires are both hustling it like it is, which is great to see.
Strong representation in the American front, certainly. We've got a Corvette, Viper, Mustang up in there as well. And Pure Cry's actually just gone up into P10 as well. Looking now
Gumball,
at Gumball.
Fastest first sector.
Yeah.
Really up a tenth and a half. A Stinky Bug gets it a bit wrong in the background. Can't really say that name for straight face. Sorry, Mr. Bug. Coming around the Lesmos now. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him, but this will aid him if it does not get in his way. He's going to have the double slipstream on the run down to Ascari, but these guys are fighting each other. This is not what he wants to see. He's thinking, come on, get on with it, go, go, go. I don't want to have to overtake you on this lap. Depends how fast they are through Ascari. If they're quick through Ascari, I think that he has a really good chance now of setting the fastest lap. So we'll keep an eye on Gumball. Here he is now in that AMG. Didn't quite catch his split through there, so we'll have to wait and see what it is to the line. He's going to have a tow all the way down to the parallel.
That's wide.
That's a bit wide to my liking. That could be a penalty. What does Gran Turismo Sport think? It's feeling a little bit generous right now. Here's Sabias has got out of his way. This is going to be a great lap for Gumball. He's have a tow all the way through up to Ascari, down to the Parabolica. He'll have a tow to the line as well. What time is it going to be? 140 kilometers an hour at the apex through there. It's about 85 miles per hour for the Americans. Here we are then, coming to the line. Will it be an improvement for the AMG driver? It is! 4 tenths of a second. Wow! So he goes 2 tenths clear at the top of the field. He'll be very happy with that time.
A Mercedes on pole position. He usurps the American threat there at the top of the Corvette and the Viper.
Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it? Very fascinating situation here as we head into the final 5 minutes. Here's Hell's Fire then. Not improving from that P8. Racing King is improving though, up to P9. That is 2 Porsche 911s currently on row 5.
Wow,
Whoa,
the Alpha.
the Alpha coming out of nowhere.
Alpha up into P4, and I've got to say, probably the smallest car in the field, but it doesn't lack any punch, does it? What a cutie that thing is.
It is so dinky, isn't it? But I love it so much. It's a very beautiful car, to be fair, actually. Love the
livery as well. I sort of calling on to maybe a different discipline there, but I think it looks very pretty indeed. Dodge Slam doing a great job of hustling it around here. Monza, the temple of speed, of course, and it's so great to see all these cars charging down to T1 on that one. Hopefully you have a bit more of a clean one than we did in the last race, but that remains to be seen. Here is Lloyd's Delight in something else very beautiful, the Citroen concept car. I do wish this was a real car. It's great to see it, of course, included. Look at that thing, though.
I remember the first version of this car being rolled out in Gran Turismo PSP, and I was thinking, goodness me, is this the way that design is going in cars? We still haven't got it. Citroen, get your act together, please.
Citroen, there is a demand.
There's a demand up top as well.
And that is another Corvette. That's FT and taking the lead back there. He'll be very happy at that time. He's just pipped Gumball. Gumball's coming to the pits now, so if he gets out quickly, he's going to have to go for one more flying lap. Going to have a lot of fuel on board, though, and we know that his time sort of came with draft. Lloyd's Elite, going up into 4th, and F Racing stamping his authority there. It's the Nissan, the late Nissan pole lap again coming in. But James, we've said this already, we'll say it again, Nissan is not good off the line. And when you've got a slow car at the start and Monza going down the T1, it can cause some upset.
Hellfire as well, putting the GT up there. Cristiano Sarr going in with the Atenza. We have late movers and shakers here. Racing 17. He's in good form in this series, certainly. And look at this, up on his own time already by 0.2 of a second. We were told that the Nissan would fly when it was moving, Jimmy. And well, the cruise liner, it's flying the flag of Brazil proudly today.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that improves at all. These guys will be in a good position because they're following currently now the fastest man on track around, meaning they'll be getting a nice big tow down the straight. Of course, the real winner, is Gumball. He's actually on an outlap right now, so this won't be a flying lap for Gumball. I will really want to see how IOF Racing does here for the last part of qualifying. Will he improve? Looks like TGT behind. He's up still by a 10th. He's not got a tow down to the Parabolica though. What sort of speed can this Nissan produce? We've seen it at Le Mans, we've seen it here in other region races. Extremely quick in a straight line. Coming down to the Parabolica now, you brake just after the 100-meter board, tuck it into the inside, nice and tidy there by IOF Racing 17. Then use all the exit, don't go too wide though, it's slippy out there. He tucks back in the line of least resistance to the start-finish line. Will he improve? 230 k's across the line, he goes faster by 0.2 of a second, a 1:48.3. Absolutely dominant display there by Racing 17.
It kind of overshadows the great effort by Mr. Stinky Bug to put that Mustang up into P4. The Americans coming in real force, but still nothing able to usurp that Japanese power of the Nissan GTR. Gumball now, though, he is on, well, mind you, he is on a flying lap, but he doesn't have enough time to complete it, Jimmy.
No, this will be it from him unless he somehow can teleport
Nico.
around. Nico, yeah, good time by him, up to P4 in that BMW. Outlaw coming in as well in P9, moving up the field. Sikaris does the same, up to P13. Gumball, I think, now is out there just for practice at this point. He won't get to the finish line. Just a reminder, we have ×5 fuel and ×9 tyre wear around here, so there will be a pit stop, one stop we predict, and here comes Turismo Leicester in that gold Viper. Again,
it is a very bizarre colour, isn't it?
Now accounting for taste. Gold's actually quite a heavy metal, so I'm not quite sure why he's put that on his car. But
it looks more green to me.
Goldy green? Well, one of us is colourblind. you decide which one, the guys in the comments, I suppose. So coming down to the Parabolica now, will he improve? The big old V10 in that Viper, dragging it along round here. I think he will probably be the last person across the line. There was a car behind him. I'm not sure they're going to make it through. 6 seconds to line, 5, 4, he should make it. 3, he's going to only just make it. Turismo Leicester comes across the line, goes P4. Couldn't have timed that any better, Turismo Leicester.
Milliseconds in that. Milliseconds, that paid off. And looking through our official results here, though, Racing 17, 2.5 tenths clear of the rest of the field at Monza. Where did he find that time? We believe on the straights. Ant, Gumball, Turismo Leicester, and Nico are your points leader, remember, rounding out that top 5. Lots of different manufacturers in there once again, Jimmy.
It's what we like to see. This is why I very much enjoy the manufacturer races, because we get to see a wide range of different cars take to the track, and they all have their different strengths and different weaknesses, and some tracks they're good, some tracks they're bad, but that's just like real life, and that's what this aims to replicate. This series of manufacturers, you sign a contract with a team, and when you do that, you're saying, okay, I'm with this car now for the rest of the season, for the good times and for the bad times.
Important to stress there for the rest of the season. Once 2018 is over, these guys, they're all free to move on to a different manufacturer. That is a distinct possibility for 2019. And I'm hoping, certainly, that it creates a great conversation about, effectively, roster moves. Who's going to be making the moves that count in the race, though, Jimmy? It's the Manufacturers Series race, round 8 of 10 here in Season 3, the final season of the 2018 FIA Gran Turismo Championships here. We've seen some brilliant races tonight. We've seen some brilliant manufacturers races across the 3 seasons. This is the penultimate one in the top 24 superstars.
So just preparing now. The cars lining up on the grid. And here is your grid from 1 to 24.
On pole then. The Nissan proving true. Racing 17, how will he get off the line though? That is the big question. Will Ant take advantage with that Corvette muscle? The star-spangled livery joined by the similarly white, black and red Gumball CGT in the Mercedes. Cover your eyes, it's the chrome of Turismo Leicester. And then Nico R, our points leader in the BMW, lining up P5. Alongside him on row 3 is another star-spangled livery. It's the Mustang of Mr. Stinky Bug. And in P7 then we have the Mazda Atenza of Cristiano Sarr. He comes in ahead of the GT by Citroen Hell's Fire. And then we have the top 9, all different manufacturers. Outlaw Quadrant in the Jaguar, our top 10 rounded out by Lloyd's Elite in another GT by Citroen. Then comes the Alpha, Dodge Lamb with a great effort there in the beautifully liveried white and red machine. We then have Doodle in the second of our Nissans. Sekaruz there, down in P13 in another Mercedes. And then we have the first of the Porsche struggling again there, Racing King in the 911. Joined by a fellow Porsche, P15, it's solid. And beside him will be another F-Type of pure cry. Only 20 racers in this field today. NZ, the first of the final 4 in the McLaren, the sole McLaren 650S. Unfortunately for the V12 Vantage, Hendricks not able to get it singing a tune out on track. Ears for Beers in the 458 Italia P19. And rounding out our field is the Honda NXX of Die Godlike. It's a standing start here in Monza. And it's going to be fascinating to see how these guys tackle turn 1, especially if that Nissan is a little bit dogged off the line. The drivers look up to the lights patiently, awaiting to go. And here we go then, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here at the Autodromo Nacional Monza, we are racing. And it's a decent start actually there from Racing 17. Okay off the line, but even better off the line was that Corvette of Ant. Turismo Leicester as well in the Dodge, flying up the inside. He's had the best start of them all. He breaks late into turn 1, and Racing's been punted off, I think by Ant there. In the back, Nico R picking up a 4.9-second penalty, and it is no cleaner than the EMEA race. Turismo Leicester, tell you what, it's an omen, potentially a good one for him. The man who led into turn 2 in the EMEA race went on to win. Behind, he's got the FT trio, Ant, Nico R, Hellsfire, Racing 17. He's been mugged, he's been bullied, he's been forced off the road, he's been forced down to P13. The other Mercedes of Sikaroo's making a fantastic start out of all of that. He's up to P5, and poor old Mr. Stinky Bug caught up in the middle there. He's down to P10, Jimmy. The Retafilier has caused problems today.
It only took one. One person got it wrong, got late on the brakes, caused a bit of a pinball effect there, and unfortunately the head of that was IOF Racing 70. Here's a replay of it. Let's go back down to 13 points, back up to the top of the field. You see Turismo Leicester got a great start, went from P4 up to P1. The acceleration of that Viper leaving the rest for dead, but here it is on board now. Back in P6, who was it that got it wrong?
Ant.
It was Ant.
Oh, and there was a concertina effect,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Basically, one person hit it, and everyone rammed into the back of it.
Oh, dear.
And everyone a little bit clumsy on the exit there. However, we still have a race to call, and again, we see over half our field with penalties, James.
Ant there, I think he's gotten away with murder, unless he's served a penalty early.
I'm unsure if he was helped from behind. That is the problem.
It was a difficult camera angle to call, wasn't it? Certainly it was him going into the back of Racing 17, but were there further conspirators in the murder plot? That is the question. Look at the size of these penalties coming up now. 4.8, 4.9, 4.8 again for Gumball. Definitely the game feels that something was done wrong, that something went amiss in the midfield. Let's take a little look at our manufacturer's lineup though. The Viper getting off the line well. Turismo Leicester He now has a 1 second lead ahead of Ant, again without a penalty in that Corvette, although Turismo Leicester's picked up a penalty of his own. 1 second. The De La Rozier chicane, again, you catch it too much, Jimmy, and it will bite you back.
Yeah, over the chicane, you've got to be very careful there, and Turismo Leicester, I think, maybe feeling the pressure. I don't think he expected to be leading this early on, so now he's having to adjust strategy, maybe push a bit harder. As a result, now he's taken a little bit too much out of that second chicane, picked up a penalty. This is good for FD, and behind, he is currently the only one in the top 4 without a penalty, so he'll be using that slipstream now to try and catch up. It looks like Turismo Leicester tried to serve a bit of his penalty there by slowing down on the straight line, but still has a lot to serve. Right now we are on board with Gumball CGT and that AMG GT3, looking up the back of another AMG GT3. Sicarus in front. Sicarus, a great start up to P5.
He's really capitalised on everything ahead of him. Started P10 up to P5, and he came out of all of it without a penalty, crucially. And so all of these guys ahead, in theory, he is actually ahead of them. Massive penalties in the 4-second region, one of them being Nico R in this BMW. Now, Nico R, points leader, by proxy meaning that he is the leader of the BMWs, Jimmy. Just needs a clean race from here on out now, surely. I think whether he ends up being in the battle for the podium or not, he needs to get to the end without another incident. He just needs to secure some good points.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it doesn't hurt, of course, to gain more points when you can. Always looking to get as many points as possible to make the make it a short deal, so to speak. Sorry. But right now he's in a weird position. He is in 3rd on track. The penalties mean he's actually realistically a bit further back when all is said and done. Again, another reminder: ×9 tyre wear around here. So to give you a bit of context, 1 lap of Monza around here is actually 9 laps on the tyres. So by the time we get to the midway point, lap 7, quick maths, that is 63 laps of fuel. Yeah, 63 laps of tyres.
7 times 9 is 63.
There you go. Got there very quickly. Quick maths.
Quick maths. James makes a return there. People who followed me for a few years remember that one.
Yeah, and he can stay buried, I think, Quick maths, James.
One from a long time ago. I think a lot of these people would have been hoping that that incident was from longer ago, certainly. Over half the field have picked up penalties in the opening few laps. And I wonder whether we're going to see anybody trying to serve some of that penalty in the pit stop phase, Jimmy, because certainly one of the greatest strategy calls from the Manufacturer Series last time out in the EMEA region was that we saw people serving a bit of that penalty on pit lane exit when they're at their slowest. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, these Americas boys...
Oh, wow, Sicarus sideways all the way through the parabolica there, and immediately jumps back into the slipstream. We'll get back to that point in a second, James.
Of course,
but Gumball now right on the back of his fellow manufacturer. Now, he's just saving fuel right now. He could quite easily pull past. You see at the moment, Sicarus goes defensive, almost thinking about, I say defensive, actually going for a move, on Hellfire. Gets it done there, past the Citroen. I've got to say, for Hellfire, although he has just lost a place, to be up in 5th position in the Citroen is a hell of an achievement.
Well, Lloyd's elite as well. Don't mind him there in P7, also without a penalty. And well, Racing 17
He's coming back, isn't he?
He was, what, 14th, 15th? He's already up to P8. That's a brilliant recovery drive in just a couple of laps.
He will be furious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
After T1, he will be absolutely raging inside his virtual helmet. So now you're seeing the result of a Brazilian angry driving at Monza. He is cutting through the field, absolutely no remorse for those he passes. Right now up to P8 and gaining on the Citroen in front. You might see him in the frame just behind. There he is, in the background there, in the blue car. He's in sight of the leader. He is coming back strong.
And you know, I think he was consigned to losing that lead. I think Turismo Leicester had enough on the inside to take it.
Yeah.
But it was the extra contact at the end there. I mean, he really should have come out in P2. There's a real wiggle there from Nico R, currently in 3rd. And poor Sicarus, he's done all the hard work to get past Gumball and Hellfire, but he's now picked up a penalty of his own through Ascari.
Ascari, exit for Ascari. We saw a lot of drivers mentioning that before. It's quite a big penalty as well. I think it was about 2 seconds or so from what we heard from some of the drivers. However, again, we'll reiterate the point that it's the same for everyone.
Yes.
If one person can do it, you can do it too. So not really any excuse for that, other than keep it in the lines, lads. Here is Nico R, who hasn't kept it in the lines. 4.8 seconds there. That could have been from contact earlier. Will he have a go at FT Ant, I wonder? I think he's saving fuel as well. The guys with penalties, it seems to be a better strategy to save that little bit of fuel and just ease it from there. Now, something I've noticed, James, is that Turismo Leicester, his lead hasn't really increased. In fact, it's decreased now, down to 0.8 of a second.
And looking very strong indeed in this middle part of the race. And I'm starting to wonder whether with the different manufacturers, you know, considering, Jimmy, that tyre wear is starting to become a factor. Remember, this may be lap 5, but on the tyres, as there we are racing, he picked up a penalty, but again, we've seen this as a consistent theme from him. Nico R, what happened to Nico R? He was P8.
He was serving his penalty, I think. I think he went, you know what, I'm going to serve this and put myself back in the pack. I don't see the logic behind that, Nico. I understand you want to serve your penalty, but you just put yourself in a group of cars. You're now going to be battling for position. I don't know that was the right choice there by Nico, the Chilean.
Yeah, sorry, so either way, I'm going to try and go back through those 2 or 3 tangents which I went through. So Racing 17, we've seen him serving penalties mid-race before. That is a classic Racing 17 move. I think it's a good plan, especially if you can eke it out bit by bit. Going back to the further point, though, manufacturers, the different manufacturers, they're going to have different levels of tyre wear, and that then is added on to the factor of these, these drivers. They have differing driving styles. Some are more aggressive than others. And I'm looking at that Dodge, Jimmy, and I'm not thinking that that is a very conservative car on the tyres. And remember, the ×9 modifier on the tyres, we're going to be going onto lap 6, so 45 laps effectively on these tyres have already been completed.
You were seeing a reaction to that there as Gumbel understeered a bit off, put a rear wheel on to the, or say that, we'll come back to that in a second. He now comes up the inside of Sicarus. I think he's just turned the engine up and gone, you know what, I'm coming through now, I've had enough of this.
God, look how much penalty he's got though as well.
But why do that? Yeah, 9-second penalty at this point. Just picking it up, it seems, every lap a little bit more, and before you know it, you've got to give up 10 seconds, and 10 seconds in this field puts you down towards 18th or 19th position, so really not ideal there for Gumbel. But already, look at the gap he's got over Sicarus. He is not hanging around.
Sicarus with some serious tyre problems, it must be. We are nearing the pit stop phase, Jimmy. Lap 6 of 14, a lot of the guys will be coming on bang half distance, 7 out of 14. But I don't know, maybe Sicarus will be looking to come in earlier than others. Certainly looking to Turismo Leicester, it seems like it was only a momentary lapse. He's opened up the gap back to 1.7 seconds, and he has left Gumbel in the dust. He's now 2.7 seconds clear himself, and very much a major contender for this race win now.
There are numerous people right now inside the top 5 that could end up actually taking this win. The problem is we won't know for sure where everyone stands until the end of the race. Again, saying that, IOF Racing, look, hello, 6th place. He's come back up again. And you watch this straight line speed of this Nissan. He'll be in the tow of 2 cars in front right now. He's got no penalties. He'll be thinking, right, okay, these guys are going to let me pass. Look at this. A Citroen is standing still by comparison. He'll dive to the inside here. Easy peasy. Thank you very much, sir. Hellfire serves a penalty to get out of the way there. And now it's right on the back of the AMG in front. Hellfire, all sorts of sideways on exit, but we're back to IOF Racing now. Again, coming on to the pit straight. Let's see what sort of difference there is in a straight line here between the AMG and the GTR. That's the difference right there. Here comes the train onto the inside. Thank you very much, says IOF Racing. You've just been passed by a flying brick. Now breaking down the T1. Move down IOF Racing, who went as far down as P15, is now back up to P4. What a recovery.
Gobbling up the miles per hour quicker than I was gobbling up my dinner earlier tonight. Absolutely insane speeds down the back straights from that Nissan, and Racing 17 has gone from 15th to back into podium contention in the space of half a race. What an inspired drive so far, but he's not done, Jimmy. Gumbel is in his sights.
No one is done yet. It's not over until, I say, the fat lady sings. We haven't got a fat lady here, so it's not over until James sings, unfortunately, at this point.
Not very well as well either. I should go
no,
at that.
We won't subject you to that. But yes, we still have only over half the race to go at this point. Now, Leicester and Ant will be seeing Racing come back up the standings. They'll know, okay, this isn't ours, especially Leicester. He's led this race since all the kerfuffle at T1. and might be thinking, oh, now I can start to think about me maybe winning this race and how I'm going to do it. But now he's seen, oh no, here comes racing, he's coming back. So he's going to have to start getting some decent laps in. And of course, as well, bear in mind, both Gumball and Leicester, third and first respectively, both have penalties to serve.
Though, only 0.8 seconds now to serve with Turismo Leicester. It is not the end of the world. As long as he keeps the guy behind him at a second gap, that should be all right. I think that looks like a pit stop line, Jimmy. That is a pit stop line.
Who's coming in? So we've got
everyone.
We've got Ant, we've got Leicester, Gumball in as well. We have IOF Racing in. So, oh, that Outlaw Quadrant staying out in the
bold.
jack. That could be bold, that could be bad. We'll wait and see. The thing is now, one, he's on his own. Two, he must have been saving fuel. So this isn't going to be a fast lap from him. Also, he's on old tyres. So whether this is going to be a good or bad choice, we'll have to wait and see. But I can tell you, in our other races, we didn't see someone from so high up pitting later. Everyone pretty much pitted on the same lap. So this is a bold strategy for Outlaw Quadrant. I don't know if it's going to pay off, though.
The overcut is a seldom used racing move. However, considering Outlaw Quadrant's position, he doesn't have a penalty to serve. He will be stronger at the end of the race with less fuel, with better tyres. That could be a game changer for him. Certainly the pits, a game changer it seems for Turismo Leicester, who's not only lost time to Ant by about a second or so, but he's also picked up more penalty time.
Know who has lost out a bit in that pit stop? Racing 17, he's down to P7 now.
Yeah.
He was up at P4 beforehand. So, but yes, I've noticed that a couple more attempts there on the penalty, and Ant is now right on the back of Turismo Leicester. This is where Ant will be going. Okay, time to get past, I think. So let's see what that Corvette has in a straight line. The low rumble there, the V8 coming down the straight. Leicester goes defensive, pulls to the middle of the road. And I'm not quite keen on your passing right now, Ant. And Ant goes, okay, well, I'll wait then on the run down to the Parabolica instead. The thing is, Ant has all the cards right now. No penalty, has the slipstream, can even choose to fuel save if he wants. Or he can do what I think he might do, put a move and try and pull away. Looks to the inside now, the Parabolica, this could be it. Leicester flashes his lights to say, oh, I know you're there, but don't worry about it. Ant goes to the inside, move made, but now roles have been reversed. Now Turismo Leicester has the slipstream. Outlaw Quadrant in the pits, let's see where he comes out.
He's the last of our pitters overall, so the only man to stay out on that lap, with the exception of Die Godlike, who's dead last and is way removed from this action. Turismo Leicester now tucked up into the reverse slipstream. Is he going to go down the inside, or does he not have enough grunt? I don't think he does, and in fact he stays behind Ant and doesn't gain anything on or into that penalty, and he's got that position locked down. All he has to do is focus on the track ahead from now on out, as there we go, Racing 17. He's already overtaken probably the most cars on track today. He's continuing that trend up to P5 after losing out in the pit stops.
Here's going to be one to watch for the end. It's Racing 17. Complete charge now to the end as we have both a BMW and Mustang nose to tail. You can't quite tell the difference between them. They're quite big cars, both of them actually, as Mr. Bug doesn't quite think about going into the chicane there. Yeah, wow, 10 seconds, the rare double digits, 11.5 seconds. He extends it as we watch him. I think he's trying to come last actually with that sort of attitude. I'm sure he's aware that he's picking up such penalties, but still, it looks like, by the way, the Sycarus hasn't given up on IOF Racing. He's still glued to the back of that GTR, but not for long, because guess what? GTR power, goodbye.
Mr. Stinky Bug, a true American patriot, trying to straight line every possible corner around this track. I love it. Okay, Turismo Leicester. Good news for him is, because he's been cut into that slipstream, because he's been eating that up for a lap now, he's actually been able to shave off 0.4 of a second without losing too much to the race leader. And I wonder, Jimmy, whether he's just decided, okay, Ant, you go on ahead, you forged a path, you use your tyres, I'm going to conserve now, and I'll get you later.
As we said earlier, high-speed chess game, this one. And the man looking to flip the table is this guy here, IOF Racing. Now, He is, at the moment, about 1.5 seconds behind the Citroen in front. We know the Citroen isn't too fast in a straight line. We know the GTR is very fast in a straight line. So, and also, both the guys ahead of him, in fact, the 3 guys ahead of him all have penalties, substantial penalties too. Hellfire with 6.7 seconds, Gumball with 9.3 seconds. I must say, by the way, James, I really like this feature that we have here that shows us a penalty amount. It
is so useful. Like, it could not have come in at a better round, could it?
It really helps out, especially here at Monza, where unfortunately we are seeing a lot of penalties being awarded, I should say, to the drivers. Leicester there, he's serving his penalty little by little, it seems, behind Ant, which is actually a fairly interesting strategy. He's doing that whilst then being pulled back along again, whilst then saving a little bit of fuel in the meantime. So when he gets to the last lap or so, he can just turn it up, drive past in a straight line.
I think this is very smart from the Canadian, personally. As, oh, goodness me, Gumball going out a little wide, just saving it there.
I saw 10 seconds on his penalty there. I saw 10 seconds.
Well, it was 10.3, wasn't it, when we last came? It's gone up to 10.7. In theory, Jimmy, racing's already on the podium.
In theory, yes, but I'm sure he wants to have it in practice as well.
Of course.
So let's see how close the gap is now. The gap's come down to a second, so another half a second that lap taken up. And now, most importantly, racing in that GTR is now in the slipstream of the car in front. He's going to be towed along. There's no air pushing against his car as he accelerates. Well, not as much air anyway, so he's allowed, that Nissan's allowed to run away in a straight line. Look at the gap just come down there into the parabolica. Half a second between them. Hellfire now knows the pressure is there. Let's see. I wonder if that Nissan can be close enough coming into T1. Let's have a look, shall we?
It's Air Force One versus a bunch of fighter jets.
It doesn't matter, does it? Look at this thing go.
Did Racing tune this up to a Group 2?
He's going to drive past that Citroen like it's standing still up to P4 again. Hellfire's proving this has happened once already today. Why is this happening again? Doesn't matter. IOF Racing up to 4th on track. He is 3rd, really, if you think about the penalties that are being awarded right now.
Hello, Turismo Leicester.
2 seconds.
He's gained a penalty, but he's also gained track position.
That wasn't worth it, Leicester, was it? I think he went for the move, got a bit greedy, now realised, oh, well, there's my penalty. So, guess who this benefits?
Oh, let me guess. Is it Racing 17?
It is Racing 17.
Oh, there you go.
It's, I know we shouldn't wish for it as commentators, but it's always entertaining to see a guy who's qualified high up or has
pole position in Racing's case,
has obvious speed, then come back through the field because it just creates so many great overtaking moments. And here is on board right now FT Ant. It's funny because Ant and Leicester have just been swapping places. Ant really is in the best position to win this race at the moment. It depends what Racing 17 can do in the dying laps. All Ant has to do really is stay around this sort of gap to Leicester, whilst keeping, of course, in mind of what's behind him, and he can win this race. And talking what's behind him, here is IRF Racing again, now starting to...
13.4.
Wow, he's starting to gain in now. 13.4 seconds.
That is higher than one of the drivers in the Nations race.
That will take you down to P14, P15 if you have to serve it all in one go. But we have seen people get away with it.
We have seen people get away with it. I'm also going to pick up on the point here. Turismo Leicester, he's not just hurt himself there, he's hurt Ant, because I see Racing getting past Gumball potentially on this straight. You look at him now, already there, and straight past. And needs to get past Turismo Leicester, otherwise this potential win can kiss itself goodbye.
Now, IOF Racing was very high on the curb on the entrance there. Did he have a cut? I'm not sure if he did or not. We'll wait and see. I know there'll be people saying to us, you know, there is action going on up and down the field. Why are you focusing so much on racing here? It's because this is for a potential win. This is a man coming through the field from 15th, from being 15th after being punted at T1 from pole position. And this is the leader of the series as well, showing why he's there.
Turismo Leicester then. We are starting to run out of laps, a little bit squiggly on the brakes, and that is not going to help his cause whatsoever.
He needs to get through, as you said, and needs to clear Leicester. If he doesn't, then guess who is going to clear him? IOF Racing behind, looking ever bigger in his mirrors. That blue brick absolutely flying around Monza. Ant knows it, as does Leicester. Leicester may be hoping that they get caught up. Maybe they'll get a penalty. Of course, you don't wish a crash on anyone. Speaking of penalties, Gumball. I think, yeah, he's going to be dropping down the field massively. That, I'd say that benefit the car behind him, but everyone behind him has penalties as well to some degree. Sicarus as well, with a 6-second penalty behind him. Sorry, that's a Hellfire, sorry, but they all have similar S penalties. Now, look how close Ant is to Turismo here. Both American muscle. One's a V10, one's a V8. Ant really on the throttle. A little bit too early there. He's already got the run. Don't bump him. You're going to lose some momentum. Goes to the inside now. No penalty. Has the engine turned up to max? Will it be able to out-drag the Viper there? Now door to door. A little bit of contact between them. The Corvette just has the legs. This is absolutely massive for Ant's race. He needs to be in front. Penultimate lap. Just about gets the position of Turismo Leicester. And that means he now has a barrier between himself and IOF Racing, who is still on a charge, only half a second behind us. In fact, look at him. He's right now on the back of Turismo Leicester. Will we be able to have a run coming through the curve of Gran into the second chicane? Here we go then. Hugs the inside, takes a line of least resistance in the slipstream now. Has the engine turned up to 11? Whatever the higher setting is, will he dive to the inside? I don't think so. Bit of a risky move. This race is evolving in front of us, James.
Crucial move there from Ant. That might very well be the move that wins him the race. What it counts on, importantly, is how fast Racing can get past Turismo Leicester, because after this half a lap remaining, it is 1 lap left. Effectively a 1-lap sprint to the line. Here comes Racing then into the slipstream of Turismo Leicester as we head up towards Ascari. We have seldom seen moves into Ascari tonight. Is Racing going to go for it? No. Turismo Leicester serving another 10th of his penalty as we move through here. Racing 17, and they'll want to be careful on the exit, most certainly. And goodness me, you can see that as well, staying really within the track lengths. But now this is Nissan territory. This is where the big guns come out. Racing, will he dive? No. What he's going to try and do is he's going to try and take the slipstream of both of these guys, and Ant with a massive slip himself on the inside. That could be the opportunity that Racing needs. Onto the home straight then, onto the final lap then. Here comes Racing, picking up a double slipstream. Here goes Leicester to the outside, but Racing 17, he's going to try and find the inside. He doesn't, and cuts off the door before it's opened and into the inside of the Retifilia. Ant will go, but Racing, he sees an opportunity. He tries to go around the outside. Leicester muscles him out and just about keeps on for now. But Racing picks up a penalty. I think that's harsh.
I think that's very harsh. He was definitely muscled out there by Turismo Leicester. The move is already done. Now look at Racing. He is mad. He's going to push through now past his Viper. No more games, he says. I'm going round the outside here and you're going to deal with it. Brake late into the chicane, and there he goes round the outside of the Viper, who is forced to the curb on the inside. Then there on the exit, 1.3 seconds is a penalty. That effectively hands this race to Ant if he can just stay clear.
Oh!
What was that? What happened there?
Was that a touch?
Racing goes off. I thought that was Ant there. Racing just got it wrong, it seems, going off. What happened? Just have a look at this replay.
It was a touch.
It was a touch. Leicester there. That was not good driving by Leicester. First of all, he causes contact in T1, then he effectively punts off IOF Racing at the first Lesmo. That is not what we like to see. And I feel a little bit disappointed there. We were robbed of a good finish there by a little bit of robust driving. Someone who will not be disappointed, however, is FT Ant. He leads the field round to the Parabolica for the last time of asking. I imagine when he was on the grid, he didn't feel like he was going to win this race. He didn't feel like he was a competitor, but here he is. He stayed out of trouble, stayed in front through numerous slides for the Parabolica, even though now still doing it through there. Comes to the start-finish line to take the manufacturer's victory for Corvette. A great race by FT Ant.
Italy is a place of passion, and today passions have flared. Turismo Leicester might have a little bit to answer for there. P2 Hell's Fire will be thanking his lucky stars that he picked up a podium there with the Citroen as well. Sicarus followed home by Nico R. Racing 17. After such a good comeback race, stolen away? It's a question for debate. Gumball followed home by Outlaw Quadrant, Mr. Stinkybug, and Doodle rounding out the top 10. What a quiet race he had, but he made it work for him. Goodness me, Jimmy, that's a lot to dissect there.
It is indeed, and this race, of course, is going to be available on YouTube for you guys to watch. And you have a comment section down there. Let us know what you think of that incident, of course. We keep it constructive, we'll say that. But here is FT Ant, and you really have to give it to him. He did a great job to drag that Corvette up to first position. And here he is now, taking the spoils on Victory Row.
I am surprised that he got away with a penalty in turn 1. But sometimes you need that luck in racing, and Ant made it stick. The Corvette wins here in Monza, and 3,441 points earned towards his championship course. Good timing as well, as there's only 2 rounds remaining, only one of those a top 24 race.
Well, there we go then. Our manufacturer's race over and done with. An unlikely winner and a unlikely loser as well, I would say, in that fact. Again, I have to say, driver of the race for me would probably be FT Hellfire there. He's up there in a Citroen, kept it reasonably clean, and now put a car that really shouldn't be there on the podium. He's going to be very happy with that.
I don't often find myself in this position, Jimmy. I struggle to genuinely give a driver of the race to anyone with the exception of maybe Ant. So many penalties for so many different reasons, and a little bit of naughtiness as well. Tell you what, it's entertaining, we can say that much. But certainly, as the drivers go into the debrief as well, I think there's going to be a lot of head scratching and a lot of awkward conversation.
We're seeing the same kind of conversation we had after the European race. People sort of asking, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's happened, you know? And Monza does breed this sort of, when you have a long straight that goes into a chicane, it's a prime overtaking spot, but both parties have to be privy to it. They both have to say, okay, this is happening now. Sometimes you might misjudge that. And we saw straight away after the race that Turismo left actually apologized in the chat room to IOF Racing. He just left.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't
bode
well, really. But
it doesn't. We will see, certainly, how they all react over the next couple of rounds. Our last broadcast, of course, of the final Top 24 Superstars races, they take place on the 8th of September. So we're hoping to record them at the very least. They'll be out on YouTube for sure. You do not want to miss those, especially if it gets as heated as today. We're also going to find out which of our Nations Cup races are going to go through to the regionals. Of course, since it is round 10 of 10 in this last season, we're going to find out which of our Manufacturer Series races head to the World Finals. It's exciting times all around, Jimmy, and we certainly hope that you guys join us again. That's all for now. Jimmy, it's been a pleasure.
As always, James, very good to be here.
Indeed, and I am James Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.
Love in your front like white, just my look away, run straight ahead. Don't know all the physics, don't think it's complicated.